And he's the first to concede it was stupid.
Dumbass.
I've had other cases like this because I've got some clients who are targets. And you're absolutely right. If you're a high-profile guy with a good bit of money, you should be very, very careful.
That is for sure.
I mean, maybe you got to do it. There's some guy, I've forgotten who it was, I read about it recently, who has a video camera installed when he has sex.
That's R. Kelly. Yeah, we've heard about him, too.
I mean, I don't know how many girls you can convince to do that, but it's maybe that's what you got to do to be safe, or just get married and don't fool around.
Okay, so you filed the countersuit for $100+ million.
Yes.
Now, what was your last contact with Mr. Morrow?
Just before I went to the FBI.
Okay, you haven't talked to him since?
No, I've got nothing to say to him.
Okay, we're going to be hearing from him, too. I'd be very interested in what the
We are going to press that suit in California all the way, because, in my opinion, these people have just done terrible damage to
now, let's talk a little bit about that for a second. Now, what happens... all right. Let's say these two suits get pressed all the way to the very end, and if they prevail, it's $35 million, which potentially Michael Flatley could pay. Now, the attorney was quoted in the press. I don't know if this is an accurate quote, but this was a press report quote that said that's like $100 to Michael Flatley, $35 million, which I don't think is true, but he could pay it. Now, let's assume that this woman, who, as you point out in your complaint, has had some issues with gambling debts and some monetary financial problems prior to this, and this attorney, I'm fairly certain, is not worth $100 million. Otherwise,
I'm sure you're right.
I don't know why you take this case. What would be what do you do in a situation like that? Let's say you do win $100 million from them.
We'll collect as much as we can collect, and we're not going to be able to collect anywhere near $100 million. But the point is, that is the magnitude of the damages they've caused. We realize we're not going to be able to collect that much, but you don't allege damages based on what you can collect. You allege damages based on what these people have caused. And these people have caused that kind of damage. You know, that's why I say this is worse than irresponsible behavior.
Michael no longer performs. He just basically produces these shows, right?
Once in a while, he'll perform.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what is the status of that? Can you explain that to us? Because that's part of this suit as well. One would imagine if you ever got down to figuring out the monetary stuff here, not that I think any of this is going to go that far, but if it were to...
Well, we're not going to settle.
What is his... If it went the other way, is what I'm saying, Bert.
Oh,
if it went
yeah.
against you.
Okay, wait. Not going the other way.
Right, but if it were to, this is America. Weird things can happen. What is his stake in these companies? He's the producer. Does he have...
He's a shareholder.
Okay, does he have... you're reading these astounding income numbers from him that he makes $50 or $100 million a year, whatever.
The news media here just reported that he just signed a deal with one of the hotels in Vegas for $250 million over the next 4 or 5 years.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, that was
one
reported.
of my partners does his business work, and I'm basically doing the litigation.
Okay.
All right.
Well, he's done
Bert.
Quite well, is what I think Rose
The bottom line is
looking for.
This man has this incredible ability to make tons of dough. And there was, he left Riverdance and did his own thing, and it was incredibly successful, his own thing. And then,
well, look, he could have paid her very easily, but how do you go about paying somebody who had a consensual sexual relationship with you, and then had breakfast and hugged and kissed you, and then claims later falsely that you raped her?
Let me ask you that, Bert. Is there an idiot tax in this case? Do you go, hey, do you ever counsel? And I don't want you to comment on this specifically, but let's say you had a high profile rich client like this. Which he does. And right, but not in this case. And they come to you and they go, oh my God, I can't, but can you believe this happened to me? And now she's claiming I raped her and she wants all this money. Whatever your fee is going to be, on top of the negative, as you pointed out, now that this is out, no matter what happens here, people are going to think that he was guilty of something. At least some people will think he was guilty of something. Don't you go, oh, come on, just pay her $500,000 and let's get on with this. It'll save you that money in the long run.
Well, one answer, aside from principle, and he's a very principled guy, but one answer is when you pay somebody like that, you never stop paying.
I think that's brought to the forefront by the Michael Jackson case.
Sure.
As I've been saying, why do you pay if you're not guilty? And that's the part I can't really rectify with Michael Jackson.
Hey, there's one other thing. There's only one thing I disagree with here in your complaint, and that is it says here he's, right in the beginning, it claims that that your client is actually from Ireland.
No, he's an Irish resident. He's not from Ireland.
Right.
He's born in Chicago.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, it just says he's an Irish resident.
He's a resident of Ireland?
It said in the paper
he's got a home in
he's
Ireland.
building a house there. It said in the paper today that he took a helicopter from the hotel to his newly built house.
Yeah.
So,
he's got a very, very lovely house out in the country in Ireland. And he spends time in different places. But he's a Chicago native.
Yeah, that's what we know.
And
as far as I know, he's an American citizen.
Does he speak to you with an Irish brogue?
Not really.
Okay, good. Because sometimes when he's doing press,
No, but I do.
He has that Irish brogue, and we're like, the guy's from Orland Park, not Ireland. But that's all right. That's a whole other deal.
By the way, this lawyer...
Yes.
He kept saying over and over to me, like I guess it would impress me how tough he was, that he was an Italian from Chicago, so I better watch out, because he knew how to play hardball.
All right. Well,
we'll find out if he tells us that.
You ever been to Chicago, Bert?
Yeah, I've been to Chicago.
All right, you know how tough we are.
Yeah, you guys are really tough.
Yeah,
right.
Look at us. We just rolled over for you. All right,
All right, we're going to talk to Dean Morrow after
have a good
minutes here.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
All right. We'll take a break, do some news, and come back and talk to Dean Morrow. 42, chance of rain tomorrow. Christina.
In the Brookfield near Maple and Southview Avenue, there's an accident involving a car and a freight train. The inbound Edens, what's slowing you down is someone changing their tire. They're taking out the entire left lane at Willow. It's 50 minutes late Cook to the Kennedy. Kennedy 52 in both directions. Eisenhower and Stevenson both an hour to the north-south tollway. Dan Ryan 35 either way you're driving. This report brought to you by Blockbuster. Blockbuster gives you a smarter way to buy DVDs. Rent The Ring. If you like it, you can buy a previously viewed DVD for just $9.99. Rent it, like it, buy it. Details at participating stores. I'm Christina Filiati with WL's Time Saver Traffic.
How would you like a much whiter, healthier-looking smile in just 1 hour? Well, you can have one if you go to Bright Smile. We got our teeth whitened at Bright Smile several years ago, and they're still nice and white. It only took about an hour in the dentist chair. We did it at the spa, they call it here, and it is. It's really nice on Walton off Michigan Avenue here in Chicago. Dentist puts the gel in your teeth, an activating light, voila. You're watching television. You really don't know that they're doing anything until it's over, and they go, okay, here's the before and after picture. Look.
But people always say to us, hey, is it safe? Does it work? Oh, you can ask us, and we'll tell you what our opinion is on that, which is yes, but... why don't you check out the Journal of the American Dental Association? They published a clinical study this month confirming that Bright Smile is safe and remarkably effective, and it gives you a long-lasting result. 1-800-BRIGHT-SMILE, that's the phone number. Call them right now. They got a deal going on to celebrate the fact that they were in the Journal of the American Dental Association. Ask them about that. 1-800-BRITE-SMILE.
Teeth whitening services performed by a licensed Illinois general dentist. Ad is supported by participating dentists.
Honey?
Yeah?
What are you doing out there?
More on Iraq and the return of Eileen Burns, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Jay and Eileen with the Inside Story. Weekdays 9 to 11 a.m. on News Talk 890 WLS.
We have a pair of tickets to see Elton John and Billy Joel April 30th at the Allstate Arena. We'll give those away before 6 o'clock. Now we go to Dean Morrow. We talked to the lawyer representing Michael Flatley last half hour. And we'll talk now to the lawyer representing the woman who is suing Michael Flatley, Dean Morrow.
And I believe his law partner, Chris Lombardo, is also on the phone line here, too. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Dean and Chris. All right. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Let's start with you, Dean, because you're named in the countersuit here that was filed yesterday in Los Angeles. The attorneys for Michael Flatley are asking for $100 million from you. And we talked to him a few minutes ago. He's got a couple of assertions I want you to see if you can address first. First of all, they claim, Michael Flatley's side claims that you sent a letter asking for money, or you would issue a press release and go very public about these allegations. This was back in January. Is that true?
Well, it is true in a sense. Let me explain. It is standard protocol for trial lawyers to try and amicably resolve cases before filing suit. Otherwise, this country is litigious enough. We don't want to have to file a suit unless we absolutely have to.
Well,
they forced us to file this suit.
Mm-hmm. Now, but you see, in concert with the fact that there are no criminal charges being pressed, seems to
support their end a little more.
Call into question the veracity of your client.
Well, could I answer that?
Sure. Now, this is Chris.
This is Chris, yeah.
Right.
I want to make it clear that from our perspective, we don't know that they're not proceeding with the criminal case. We are also aware that they are willing to let her come forward by means of telephone now. Originally, they did not want to speak with her from Chicago.
Who's that?
Las Vegas police?
Las Vegas police.
Right.
And that meant essentially she's got to get on a plane by herself and fly out to Las Vegas, the place she was just attacked. And quite frankly, she was in no state of mind to do that.
But even after the alleged attack, didn't she wait a number of days to even contact the police in the first place?
What she did was she immediately returned to her home, and she sought medical attention first. She spoke to her family. She was embarrassed. She was frightened. She didn't know what to do. It did take her a number of days to seek out Las Vegas police. Unfortunately, they were not receptive to her claim. They didn't want to hear about much of it.
Why is
that? They wanted her to come out.
Why would that be?
We don't know because we have not talked to them directly, but they did not want to hear from her from Chicago. They wanted her to go there so that they could see her face to face. It was something she just was not mentally equipped to do at that time.
Well, in a rape allegation, in a rape situation, that evidence is so important, and wouldn't that all be gone a number of days later if there was any evidence?
But why would... I know that every municipality has their protocol and their standards, but what my question is that why would they not suggest that someone come to her home where she is and interview her, someone who is equally as experienced, and then send them on the information? She had contacted, within the first week, the Chicago Police Department. She had contacted her doctor, who gave a full physical examination and who verified her credibility in his opinion and noted that she was forcibly raped. He tested her for STDs, pregnancy, and AIDS. She still has to go through the AIDS test period now. And she contacted Chicago Police Department within the first week and kept going through and getting from one department to the next. And then they ultimately told her to contact the Naperville police.
When did you come into contact with her?
And then when... if I could just...
Okay, go ahead.
And then finally, when she spoke with one of the receptionists at Naperville, she said, well, you know what? Why don't you contact Las Vegas? And by that time, it was about 3, 4, 5 weeks later.
The Las Vegas police said when they first talked to her that she wouldn't come forth with any details for the most part. That's reported in the newspapers here.
Well, that's reported in the newspapers, but that's not true. Because she gave a fairly detailed explanation of it.
Why wouldn't she press charges, though? I mean, ultimately, charges would... A criminal way to go. She was on Fox News, and I don't know if either of you were present during her interview with Fox News.
Yeah, and before you go on, Ro, what is the benefit of going on television during all of this for her, and then when she does, she hides her face?
Well,
if you don't want to show yourself, why agree to go on television at all?
Well, I'll tell you what. We took the claims that she made to us when we first met her very seriously. We understand the gravity of making that kind of claim. So we took time to verify every step, everything that she ever told us, and that took some time. But having done that, and having then sought out Mr. Flatley's legal representative to tell him what we were planning to do, and giving them even more time to respond to us, at some point we realized we were going to proceed with our lawsuit.
But wait a second. But hold on, I got to stop you right there. You're talking about going after Michael Flatley in a civil lawsuit.
Correct.
I want to go back to, she told Fox News that she doesn't want money, she wants justice. Now, if that's the case, why isn't she pursuing this criminally? Obviously, she's come to terms with the fact that this happened. She's willing to seek legal representation. Why not seek it in a criminal form as opposed to a civil form and ask for $35 million?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't agree. I don't disagree with what you're saying, and I would not rule out today that that's going to happen.
But shouldn't that be the first step here?
If
she wants justice and not money.
It might be in most cases.
Why is it not in this case?
Essentially, in this case, she just was not mentally prepared to do any of that.
But she is now, obviously.
Well, she was prepared to come to us for advice. She was seeking help.
But she's prepared to go through with a lawsuit and sit down with Larry Yellen from Fox and do whatever else she's going to have to do.
Okay, but you guys are making very sweeping generalizations. I concentrate my practice in crime victim civil litigation, okay? Many of my cases wind up with no criminal action being charged because that's a different burden of proof. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, here, in seeking
I'm just going with what she...
civil remedy, she has accumulated, it's a permanent injury, permanent psychological injury, accumulated tens of thousands of dollars of medical bills. Who's going to pay for that? The person who caused it should pay for that.
Is this her doctor that you went
to? She's not seeking $35 million. We did not ever demand $35 million.
Where did that figure come from?
It is in the complaint. It's in the addendum. It's in the back part of the complaint. It could be any number. It could be $1. It could be $1 billion.
But it's $35 million.
Is meaningless.
But somebody came up with it, and it's in there.
Right.
Okay. How did you come up with that number?
Well, before we begin the discovery process, before we will learn how much of an asset that Mr. Flatley's business is to him, we can only do a preliminary search. But even the number that we selected as far as punitive damages, which again are sought to punish the misdoer, we could only, from our preliminary search, find out, for example, you've already reported that he's signed I think, $250 million contract with the Venetian Hotel. So picking that number, we were just in our best efforts trying to select a number that would actually have some effect on him as far as punitive damages.
Did one of you state...
It's very similar to if a corporation has a defective product and it's injuring people. If you sue them in small claims court, the board of directors and the CEO are not going to change their policies. But if you get a multi-million-dollar verdict against them, the policies will change. You have to get their attention.
Did one of you state publicly that $35 million to Michael Flatley is like $100 to anybody else?
Well, not directly, but it...
Is that an accurate quote?
Well, not directly. I mean, it's more in a sense of...
Did one of you say that, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Did she spend the night with him?
No, she did not spend the night with him. It was not a sleep overnight. She did not bring luggage and things like that.
Did she? What time did she leave, according to your knowledge of this? Or if this is part of the complaint, I'm not sure if it is because I haven't seen your complaint. But what's the period of time here in which this took place?
This was a night out. She arrived late afternoon and had a preset flight back in the early morning.
Did she make that flight?
She was invited by Mr. Flatley's butler and Mr. Flatley just to come and visit and gamble and see the museums and things of that nature.
Okay.
And that is what she did.
Did she make that flight back?
Yes.
Okay, so...
And she locked herself in the bathroom for 3 hours before. And Mr. Flatley's butler knocked on the door and asked her, Mr. Flatley would like you to change your flight and stay a little longer. This is after the rape. She locked herself in the bathroom for 3 hours until her flight. And at that point, she said, absolutely not, I'm taking my flight. And when she left, there's no breakfast. There's no hug and kiss. There is nothing like that.
But that's what his personal assistant's going to testify to.
She left and she beelined out of there.
Okay. Did Dean, according to Bert Fields, the attorney for Michael Flatley, said in your conversations with him that you had said something about being Italian from Chicago and had made a veiled threat to him?
That's absolutely ludicrous.
Okay. Just wanted to clear that up. That's his allegation.
And, that's absolutely ludicrous.
Your client claims that she had no knowledge of who Michael Flatley was when she first got to Vegas. Is that true? She said that on the Fox interview.
She met him at a boxing match. He handed his card to her. On the card, it doesn't say Michael Flatley, dancer, Lord of the Dance. It says Unicorn Corporation or something to that effect. That's how he introduced himself to her. That's how she understood he made his money. That's what he did for a living, not as this famous person that we now know he is.
Chris, are you representing Dean?
No, we're in the same part. We're partners in the law firm.
Dean, are you going to seek legal representation since you're named in the lawsuit, or are you going to represent yourself?
Well, first of all, I think it's a frivolous lawsuit, and I don't think I need to. First of all, it's not extortion, but if I find that I need legal representation, I may do it. But, you know, I'm not intimidated. They've been trying to threaten her and threaten us and intimidate us by going to the FBI. They're using their influence in Hollywood and everything else. And you know what? This case is filed in Chicago. This case is in reality, and we're going to try this case.
Okay, two questions. You didn't answer the first one, why she was on television, why she did that, why that benefits her.
Well,
why did she go on television with this?
Well, I'll tell you, we didn't rush with this case, and we did check things out. We obviously know of Mr. Fields. He's an entertainment lawyer there in Los Angeles, and we know that he's got access to the media. We anticipated, quite frankly, that they would claim that she's either lying about this or that she's trying to blackmail him in some way. So we understood that this would be coming. And
we knew this was coming.
All right, and she does have, she had some prior financial problems, right?
That's accurate, yes.
Okay, and now there also, it's been reported, and I haven't seen the cases on this either, but that she had a company that she had worked for who came after her legally
because she ran up $500,000 in expenses?
That actually was with her, she and her husband, and
her ex-husband.
It was settled in a confidentiality agreement.
Okay, that's her ex-husband?
Yeah.
Or her present husband?
No, she's not married.
Okay.
Why file the lawsuit here and not in Las Vegas?
Because venue is proper here. He's a foreign corporation doing business here. She's a resident of Illinois. This is a better venue. First of all, I don't think Las Vegas would be as good of a venue.
Have you given her, would you represent her interest? Would you be with her, let's put it this way, if she wants to file a criminal complaint in Clark County, Nevada, would you assist her in that?
Well, we've actually been talking about that because I read somewhere in a newspaper that suddenly Las Vegas police would consider letting her make her statement via telephone. They seem to be more reasonable and more willing to hear her now, perhaps from a lot of the media attention. So we are going to be exploring that.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Dean Morrow and Chris Lombardo from Dean Morrow and Chris Lombardo at Law from the TV show. Sounds like it's going to be a good one.
All right. Everybody's had their say here. Bert Evans has had his say, the attorney for Michael Flatley, and these guys who are the attorneys for the woman have had their say, and I think these guys got a big uphill battle ahead of them. And someone's got to write a check for $100 million when this is all over.
Oh, yeah, $100 million. 456, maybe some rain tomorrow in the 40s. And the Carnival Wagon coming up. Here's Christina.
And there was an earlier incident on the East-West Tollway in the DeKalb area. It had it shut down for a little while. That's since been reopened. In Brookfield, still an accident being worked on involving a freight train. This is on Southview Avenue near the railroad tracks. Inbound Edens, 40 minutes. Kennedy, 45 either way. Eisenhower, an hour 10 to the North-South Tollway. That trip on the Stevenson, an hour 5. Dan Ryan, 35 in both directions. This report brought to you by Qantas Airways. From March 31st, you'll be able to enjoy direct Qantas service to Melbourne 3 times a week, and they offer convenient connections in Los Angeles to Sydney. Qantas, the spirit of Australia. I'm Christina Filiaggi with WL's Time Saver Traffic.
Mayor Richard Daley has just walked into the grand ballroom here at the Chicago Hilton and Towers.
Steve Scott.
You can hear the more than 1,000 people who are cheering the mayor.
Bill Cameron.
Landslide would be too small a word for the mayor's plurality. He's got 79% of the vote. Look for the re-elected mayor to flip back to a pro-casino position. This would provide big new revenue to moderate rising property taxes in the city.
The inside story on the mayoral election on News Talk 890 WLS.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Jay Marvin's on the radio talking about the Red Lobster again because he has to. He doesn't even eat there. Well, I got news for you. Mary and I went to the Red Lobster on Pulaski Road here in Chicago not once, but twice last weekend. Why? Because Lobster Fest is underway and the food is too good to resist. The lobster pizza with a little bit of lemon on there is, it's just great. It's what a great appetizer. And then you move on to the main course, like lobster in paradise or lobster chops. The list goes on and on and on. They even have great desserts, like the apple overboard. Oh, I'm telling you. Look, you're looking for a good place to eat? You got to go to the Red Lobster during Lobster Fest. Mary and I love it. The Red Lobster. Check out the one in Joliet, 2950 Plainfield Road in Joliet, or the Red Lobster in Schaumburg, 800 East Gulf Road. Oh, food's great.
Attention homeowners. Office.
For the best barbecue in the Chicagoland area, go to Famous Dave's.
Connected with Chicago. News Talk 890 WLS.